furniture now. Take this sofa.
My boy, that is not a sofa. That is a sofa. Constructed, not turned out. Quality, my boy, that's what we're selling.
People are looking for something new. We've got to give it to them.
Chairs made out of scrap metal? That's not what our customers expect from John Brown and Company.
We get new customers with a line of modern furniture.
Now, Harold, our sales are fine. We're making money. We'll end the year with our usual nice profit.
We could triple our profits.
And we could go bankrupt.
So you won't even consider it?
I'm afraid the answer is no.
But listen, John, if you just...
Hello. Oh, did I interrupt anything?
No, no, my dear, we've finished.
How are you, Harold?
Hello, Mrs. Brown.
You didn't tell me you were coming into town today.
Oh, I thought it'd be fun to pop in and surprise you. You can take me to lunch.
I'm afraid I have an appointment. If you'd have mentioned it this morning.
Well, then it wouldn't have been a surprise.
I'm afraid I can't stand many more surprises today. Maybe Harold will volunteer to take you to lunch.
Oh, I'm sure Harold has his own plans, dear.
Nothing important, Mrs. Brown. I'd be happy to volunteer.
But you do have an appointment.
I'll change it. It's no problem for a junior partner.
Goodbye, dear.
Hors d'œuvre, madame.
Yes, dear.
Œufs à la russe?
Yes. It must have been a girl.
Pardon?
Pâté maison?
Yes. Your lunch date. It was with a girl, wasn't it?
As a matter of fact, yes, it was.
Des écrevisses?
Oui. Now I'm going to spoil your fun. How dreadful of me.
Don't tease the animals, Mrs. Brown. You might get bitten.
Du saumon?
My, we're in a bad mood.
Et vous aussi, monsieur?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Très bien, merci.
Why were you and John glaring at each other when I came in?
I told him our product was 20 years out of style.
A lot of people still buy it.
3 times as many would buy furniture like this.
What's that?
Sketches of a new line of modern furniture that we're not bringing out.
May I look?
You can have them.
Are these your own ideas?
Well, some of them. I had a designer working on it.
Oh, I think they're awfully good. I really do.
Well, thanks. How about our going into partnership? Or do we have to ask John's permission?
He's a charter member.
Do you have any influence with him?
I never interfere in his business.
But you just got a share of it now. You just became a partner. Are you as conservative as your husband, Mrs. Brown?
No wonder my husband thinks your ideas are too advanced.
I just meant we could make a lot of money.
Oh, now you're angry again. You sorry John made you take me to lunch?
I wasn't drafted. I volunteered.
I shouldn't tease you. Your sketches are wonderful. And most women would like to make a lot of money.
Sure, some of them marry for it.
That's a low blow. I'm very fond of John.
I'm sure you are.
Good evening, Mr. Skinner.
Hello, Ellen. I'm a little early, so if Mr. Brown hasn't finished his dinner...
Well, he's not here. He left for Philadelphia late this afternoon.
Well, that's odd. I was supposed to meet him here to go over some statements.
Would you like to speak to Mrs. Brown?
Oh, no, no, don't disturb her. I'll just leave these with you.
What is it, Ellen?
It's Mr. Skinner, ma'am.
Harold. What a surprise. You're just in time for dinner.
Oh, no, thanks.
Well, I owe you a meal. Remember, you bought my lunch a few weeks ago, under pressure.
Well, thanks. I've eaten. I had an appointment with John, but he seems to have forgotten all...
Well, come in. I can't imagine John getting his appointment so mixed up. Darling, your act was absolutely priceless.
Darling, what are we going to do about John?
Do you have to worry about that now?
Well, let's face it. For We're running out of ways to meet. We can't pull this one again. Ellen will be suspicious. And if I take you to lunch once more, John's going to start asking questions.
Yes, I know.
Have you talked to him about bringing out the new line of modern stuff?
He won't discuss it.
I've got to find some way to make money. Why doesn't he just retire and let me run the business?
There's not a chance of that. The business is his whole life, and he's still in his prime, except for his absent-mindedness about appointments.
You know, I think you've got something.
What do you mean?
The old boy's losing his grip. He doesn't know what he's doing. When you can't remember business matters, it's time to retire.
John's got a memory like a file cabinet. He never forgot anything in his life.
Ellen thinks he forgot about my appointment, doesn't she?
You know very well you never had an appointment.
I know it. But does John? Don't you get it? He prides himself on his memory. If we can convince him that he's getting forgetful, then we'll be able to...
No. He'd be a nervous wreck in no time. Oh, what a horrible thought.
It was only an idea.
I think it's a wonderful, horrible idea.
Something I can do?
Something you should have done 3 weeks ago. Why haven't the contracts been sent to the Craddock people?
Just waiting for you to sign them.
What are you talking about? I signed them a month ago.
I'm sorry, John. They're still in your drawer unsigned.
Oh, now, I know very well that I could have sworn I signed these. Why didn't you remind me?
I did remind you several times. And there are at least 3 memos on your spike.
I must have overlooked it. See that they're mailed immediately, and attach a letter of apology.
Certainly.
Well, what is it?
I hate to mention this, but the safe was open again this morning.
I distinctly remember locking it last night. Maybe it was,
No, I checked it. There's nothing missing. It wasn't a burglar.
Then it was somebody in the office.
John, you're the only one who has the combination.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
I lost my keys.
Well, you left them on the table this morning, sir.
Here's John now.
I was sure I put them in my pocket.
You promised you'd be home early.
Good evening, John.
Oh, hello, Sam. I was so busy I didn't notice the time.
Are you working too hard?
Oh, no. I don't know. Perhaps a little.
Dear, why don't you go up and change so we can have dinner?
Oh, that's a good idea. I'll wash and then we'll eat. Oh, will you stay for dinner, Sam?
Well, I was. Thank you, John.
That'll be nice.
Didn't you tell him I was coming to dinner?
Doctor, it was his idea to invite you tonight. I reminded him just this morning.
I can hardly believe it. Why, his memory is phenomenal. How long has he been like this?
It's been months. I kept trying to get him to see you, but he wouldn't. I begged him to take it easy, retire, but he just goes into a rage. What's wrong with him, Doctor?
Well, it certainly can't be anything physical. I gave him a thorough checkup only a few weeks ago. Would you object to having a specialist examine him?
A specialist? What do you mean?
I mean a psychiatrist.
You don't think he's...
No. Don't jump to conclusions. It may be nothing more than just mental fatigue. But I do think you should take him to see Dr. Krutman as soon as possible. Now, there.
Good morning.
If Dr. Held thinks I'm sick, why doesn't he treat me himself? Why does he slough me off on a strange doctor?
Sam thinks it's best, or he wouldn't have suggested it.
Mr. Brown,
Yes?
Dr. Krotman will see you immediately.
May I use the phone, please?
Certainly.
How do you do, Mr. Brown? I'm Dr. Krotman. Won't you sit down? We'll have a little talk.
There's nothing to talk about. If you want me to take some medicine, give me the prescription, let me get out of here.
I don't prescribe medicine, Mr. Brown. Sit down.
Just what kind of a doctor are you?
Oh, hello, Harold. I'm afraid John won't be able to come to the office today. I've had to bring him to see a doctor.
Oh, really? What's the matter with him?
Well, we won't know until Dr. Krotman completes his examination. Will you be able to manage things if John should have to take a long rest?
If it's long enough, I'll have this business coining money.
That's what I thought.
Let me out of here. Stand away
All we can hope is that the doctor finds nothing wrong.
insane. I'm nothing wrong with me. I'm getting out of here.
Doctor,
Mrs. Brown,
is he?
you saw for yourself. Your husband needs help. I advise you to place him in a rest home as soon as possible.
Hello.
Harold, I'm afraid I can't talk to you now. It seems that John is much worse than I thought.
Sure, I heard. He's mad as a hatter.
Well, aren't you the busy little man?
Oh, hello, darling. It isn't lunchtime, is it?
It's 1:15, and you said 1 o'clock. But if we hurry, maybe there'll be something left.
Good heavens, I had no idea it was so late.
How's the new line going?
Oh, fine, fine. Where would you like to go to lunch? How about the royalty room? I'm afraid I have to be back by 2. I have an appointment with the manager at Tilford's. I want to persuade him to take on our contour chairs.
Darling, is anything wrong?
Oh, nothing to worry about. It just takes time. But I am going to put on some new salesmen. This crew still thinks they're working for John. Well, how are we feeling today?
If you're implying I'm a split personality, both of us are fine.
You know, I just came from visiting a dual personality. Both of them feel terrible. You're doing very nicely.
Does that mean you're going to let me out of here?
Oh, what's wrong with this place? It's quiet, pleasant, you have leisure time to paint. May I look?
It isn't finished yet.
Well, it's unusual, certainly. What do you call it?
I haven't quite decided whether to call it modern living or simply biography.
I see. Tell me, John, just what were you trying to interpret here?
How do I know? I'm loony.
There it is, Mr. Skinner. Your capital position is badly impaired due to the heavy investment which is frozen in inventory.
Just give it to me in basic English.
Very well, Mr. Skinner. Unless there is a drastic increase in sales and a liquidation of your past due accounts receivable, the company is going to be insolvent in approximately 3 months.
3 months? Well, I'll need at least a year.
Then I'd suggest you're obtaining additional capital.
On what?
The name John Brown and Company has always been sufficient collateral.
Maybe John Brown could get a loan. The company can't borrow a dime. These are the debits. And here are the complete assets as of...
Harold, I can't even balance the checkbook. You'll have to explain it to me.
It's very simple. If we don't make some money in the next few months, we're out of business.
Well, how much do you need?
We need $50,000, partner.
Oh, we've gone back to a partnership, have we?
We never dissolved. Everything split right down the middle.
Up to now, it's been 50% of nothing. When do the profits start coming in? We could make a lot of money, Mrs. Brown, remember?
I remember you thought it was a pretty good idea at the time.
I was wrong.
I guess you should have stayed with John.
Darling, I didn't mean that. It wasn't just the money. You know that, don't you?
I know.
Isn't there anything we can do?
We've got to find some way to raise 50,000. All the stuff will sell. It just takes time.
Have you tried to get a loan?
All over town. They'd lend it to John, but they think I'm just a young upstart.
Maybe if John used his influence, would that help?
I don't think he'd do it.
He'd do anything for the company, you know that. It's worth trying.
Come on, I'll drive you out there.
John?
Oh, Vera! Come in, my dear. Come out, whichever it is. I wasn't expecting you till next weekend.
Well, then you don't mind my surprising you.
Still the same, Vera, just the same. You might have caught me making up to one of the nurses. Here, sit down, my dear, sit down.
How are you feeling, John?
I've quite taken to this sort of life. It's rather pleasant. Painting, talking, just taking it easy. You know, I never realized how uncomfortable a starched collar could be till I started wearing these. Of course, they'd never do in business.
John, you haven't mentioned the business.
I'm sure Harold is doing excellently. He's a very clever young man. A little erratic, but I dare say he's learning.
Well, he's doing the best he can, but he needs help. Maybe you could advise him.
I don't see how I could do that. I've been out of touch too long. Nearly a year, isn't it?
Just about.
Too many things change in that time. I don't know what conditions are. No, Harold's right there. He knows more about it than I do now.
Come back. The company needs you, and so do I.
Well, you mean leave here? Oh, I'm afraid Doc Cropeman would have something to say about that.
But you're so much better, John. You've had a long rest, and you look wonderful. Don't you think if the psychiatrist examined you again, he'd see that?
He does seem rather pleased with my progress.
Good. Then I'll tell Sam about it. He'll know what's best to be done.
If you wish, my dear. But I'm not sure it'll do any good.
Stop pacing like a caged animal.
What if they don't let him out?
Well, why shouldn't they? There's nothing wrong with him.
I know, but you can go off your rocker just being in a place like that. If it doesn't work, we're finished. If it does, what about you and me?
We just have to be careful.
Mrs. Brown, Dr. Hilk is here.
I've just come from Dr. Cropeman. My dear, John is waiting for you to bring him home.
Wonderful.
Well, it was a great 10 months.
This isn't the end. We better go in.
We won't be able to see each other. We can't pull this trick again.
We'll find a way. Just as soon as he has the company making money again. Wait a minute. John.
Oh, hello, my dear. And Harold. Nice to see you again.
How are you, John?
All I know is what my psychiatrist tells me.
He says you're entirely well. It's going to be wonderful to have you home. Isn't it, Harold?
It's the best news I've heard in months. Well, all packed, I see. You know, I'm beginning to think that you never liked this place.
It's not so bad after you get used to it, Doc. You say I'm all right now. My wife wants me home.
Well, you take care of yourself. I don't want to see you back here again, except as a visitor.
I'll see that he never comes back, Doctor. Shall we go, dear?
John, if you'll sign this, we'll spring you.
Anything you say, Warden.
That's a fine way to talk. Here, I'll take those.
Oh, I forgot this.
Well, I think that's everything. Mrs. Brown, I'm sorry. Your husband won't be able to go with you just now, after all.
I don't understand.
He is not able to leave you now, but he's completely sane. You said so. He gives that appearance, yes. But in disturbances of this sort, we can't always be sure. Now, I'm afraid John has to stay here.
But he can't. We need him. The business. I must take him home.
You'd only be taking home his body. His mind is... Look for yourself.
I hope that ending was properly terrifying. What's this? Nothing but sawdust. Oh, well, two can play at that game. That's all I have here. This concludes our program for tonight. On our next program, we shall both be back, informed of your address, so we don't know where to send the show to you. I hope you'll take care of that matter at once. Tonight, we are presenting a tale of mystery and intrigue laid in middle-class suburbia. It is called Mr. Blanchard's Secret. I realize this doesn't tell you much about the story, but several fine actors have been hired to do that, and I would hate to rob them of the privilege. And so, without further ado, we reveal Mr. Blanchard's secret.
Poor woman. It's a shame I had to kill her off that way. A psychiatrist would probably say that I had some hidden homicidal tendencies or something. Who knows? If I didn't get it off my chest by writing mystery stories, I might end up by committing a few murders myself. Phew. I'm glad it worked out this way, of course. It's so much healthier. Also, it pays better. Otherwise, I'd say that I was pretty normal, even though my husband, John, doesn't always agree with me. It's my vivid imagination that gives John the most trouble. Poor John. He's a lawyer. Corporations, mostly. Crime doesn't even enter his mind. But with me, it's like eating peanuts. Once I start thinking about it, I can't stop. Right now, I'm beginning to think some pretty strange things about the people next door. If I thought about it enough, I could really build it up into a production. Knowing myself, I probably will.
John, are you asleep? It's just one light on next door. Don't you think that's odd? Ever since the Blanchards moved in, that one light always burns all night. It's not the right place to be coming from a hall. It must be a bedroom. Maybe it's hers. Maybe she has insomnia and she reads all night. Maybe that's why I've never seen her, because she sleeps all day. Oh, it sounds like a lovely idea, doesn't it? It's funny, though. They I've been in that house for over 2 weeks, and I've never seen Mrs. Blanchard. Not once. Well, isn't that funny? He does all the chores. He even hangs out her laundry. I popped in the market several times. Oh, he's very strange. Hardly even nodded. He's such an odd, withdrawn type. Oh, and let's see how you could make a good teacher. Do you know that he used to be a university professor? What's he doing stuck away in a small-town high school like ours, anyway? It's very strange. Oh. Good night, darling. I enjoyed our little chat. John, suppose there isn't any Mrs. Blanchard. Suppose he just invented it for some reason, or she's dead and he can't accept it, so he just goes on pretending. Or suppose he killed her. Suppose he discovered that she had some secret vice, and he tried to get rid of her to save his career. Oh, boy, I better make a plot out of that. Only I'm hungry all of a sudden. Can I get you something, dear?
wife went out without telling me, and I thought perhaps she was with you. Now, with your permission, I'd like to see you to your door.
Well, so far he's only got you for illegal entry and defamation of character. What else happened last night?
Nothing, unfortunately. But you know I'm positive there's something wrong in that house. Mr. Blanchard never once looked me straight in the eye.
Maybe he was embarrassed. You weren't exactly dressed to go visiting.
Oh, don't be silly. Besides, you should see some of Mrs. Blanchard's negligees. Wow. I just can't understand how a woman with those tastes could pick a man like that. That house, it's like a morgue. Who knows, maybe it is.
Darling, how the Blanchards live is none of our business. You can't expect Mr. Blanchard to put the welcome mat out for you when you go prowling around his house in the middle of the night, asking questions that are about as subtle as a sledgehammer.
He was prowling around our house first. Besides, what was he really doing outside our kitchen door anyway?
Who knows? Maybe he walks in his sleep. I'd even settle for that if I could just get some sleep.
I'm sorry, darling. I wish I could forget. You know me. I just can't stop thinking about that poor woman probably lying in a cellar someplace right this minute, just ready to be popped into the furnace.
Now, please, not right on top of my breakfast.
Oh, sometimes I don't know how you put up with me. I'll tell you what. I'll try working the Blanchards into a script. Then maybe we'll both get some sleep tonight.
Can I count on that?
Of course, darling. By the time you get home, Mrs. Blanchard will be buried for the last time.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Maybe the secret vice angle for Mrs. Blanchard is a good one. Maybe she was an alcoholic or something. Mr. Blanchard's university career was being destroyed, so he finally had to take steps.
Where are you going?
No place especially. Just out for a walk.
A walk to the liquor store, you mean? Get back to your room at once.
Charles. Charles, I promise to behave. Oh, Charles, I can't stand it any longer. I can't stand it. If I don't get out of this house, I'll go mad. Oh, Charles, I want to make friends. Go shopping. Be like other women, don't you understand?
But you are not like other women. Other women do not get themselves into a drunken stupor and nearly set fire to their homes, or go off on a spree and wind up almost running a child down. Other women help their husbands' careers. They do not destroy them. Now get back to your room.
No. No, no. I will not be kept a prisoner in this house any longer. I am going to tell the world what you have done to me.
Have you counted the number of times that we have had to move? The positions I have given up because of you, have you? You have ruined my career for the last time. The last time.
And that's the end of her. Oh, John will be so happy.
Mrs. Fenton, I'm Mrs. Blanchard. I've been wanting to meet you. No, I should have knocked, but well, the door was open, so I took the liberty of walking in.
Mrs. Blanchard?
Yes.
Come in, please. You have no idea how glad I am to see you.
It's all so pretty here, just the way I imagined it.
I was beginning to think that you didn't exist at all.
Well, I'm sorry, I can't stay very long. My husband doesn't know I'm here. He wouldn't like it.
Oh, I don't see why not. After all, we are neighbors. It's a little difficult. Don't you say another word until I get some coffee. I'm sure we're going to have a lot to talk about. Mr. Blanchard, how charming of you to call. Well, you'll join us in some coffee, won't you?
I'm sorry, Mrs. Fenton, but I'm afraid there won't be time for that. Come, Ellen.
You're angry with me?
Come, Ellen, I said.
All right, Charles. I'm sorry that I couldn't stay for coffee. Men are such babies. They just can't be left alone for 1 minute.
When a man is so jealous that he keeps his wife a virtual prisoner in her own home, Won't even let her out to talk to her neighbor. Well, then he has to be insane. I'm not going to desert her. I just couldn't live with myself if I didn't do something to help. Her light is on, as usual. When you think of it, that bedroom is her whole world. And when she doesn't care what the rest of the house looks like. All those pretty clothes that no one ever gets to see. Honestly, John, I'd just like to take that man and do... He just came out of the house. He's carrying something. It looks like a large sack. He's putting it into his car. John, he's driving off with it. Oh, John. John, something awful. How can you read at a time like this?
Doesn't everybody?
Oh, for heaven's sakes, do something.
About what?
John, 10 minutes ago, Mr. Blanchard left here in a great hurry, practically dragging a heavy sack. I've been pounding on their door ever since. Mrs. Blanchard's light is still on, but Mrs. Blanchard doesn't answer. Now do you understand?
Not in the least.
Didn't we both agree that Mr. Blanchard is a homicidal maniac? He was furious with her for coming over here this morning. John, suppose that what Mr. Blanchard had in that sack was the body of Ellen Blanchard.
What?
Now will you call the police?
Look, you've done some pretty wacky things in your...
Never mind, I'll do it myself. Get me the police.
Now stop that. I beg if you don't...
Maybe you don't mind having a murder committed right in... Hello? This is Mrs. John Fenton. I'm awfully sorry to bother you, but I believe a woman has just been murdered. Who? Oh, she's my next-door neighbor. No, I'm not absolutely sure, but... You see, I saw her husband dragging a sack out of their house in the middle of the night. Do you mean that you still haven't found the body? You haven't even looked. No, I am not crazy. Although it's a wonder with all that's been going on around here. No, of course I can't be absolutely sure there was a murder. But how can you be absolutely sure that there wasn't unless you look? I don't know. You're the police. Just ask yourself where you'd go to get rid of a body if you had one. Don't worry, darling. I didn't say anything would get us into trouble.
Certainly not. Of course, when the police arrest you for being a general nuisance, don't you come to me. But if you need help, I'll be at the office.
Poor John. I wish he had just a little more imagination. He wouldn't suffer so. Now, let me see if I can reconstruct the murder. Hello. I've come for coffee.
You had such a funny look on your face when I came in, as if I were a ghost.
To be perfectly frank, I thought I'd never see you again after yesterday.
My husband and I had quite a quarrel over my being here. Well, as a matter of fact, he got so furious, he threw a few things into a duffel bag and stormed into the night. He hasn't come back yet.
Duffel bag, so that was it. But didn't you hear me ringing your bell?
You? No. Oh, but then I was so upset, I took a sleeping pill. I didn't hear a thing after that. Oh, how pretty. Do you mind?
No, of course not. Help yourself. Only it doesn't work. They never do for me. I guess I just don't have a red thumb with lighters. Try this.
Oh, thank you. It's such a lovely one. I adore silver, but I suppose every woman does.
If you knew some of the wild theories I've had about you.
Theories?
I think we better skip those. to me thinking all those dreadful things about him. All the time the poor man had a kleptomaniac on his hands. It's funny. One plot that never occurred to me. Well, no wonder he had to leave the university. Probably can't keep any position very long because of her. I mean, the minute he lets her out of his sight, she just goes right out and steals things. She can't help it, of course, but it must be awfully nerve-wracking for him. Think of the strain he must live under, never knowing when the blow will fall again. It's a wonder that he hasn't killed her.
People simply don't go around murdering each other so easily, my love. Except in your stories. They also don't take quite as many silver cigarette lighters as you might think.
Well, I'd just like to know what happened to that silver cigarette lighter then.
Well, why don't you try the direct approach? Why don't you ask Mrs. Blanchard if she took it?
Don't be silly, Don. You just can't go around asking people personal questions like that. Besides, it didn't work anyway.
That's for me. I'm asleep.
Hello? Yes? That was the police. They've just found a woman's body. They say she was around 30 and a brunette. It must be Mrs. Blanchard.
No, I don't believe it.
It's down at the morgue, and I have to go down and identify it. She was hit over the head and thrown over a cliff. Oh, I really feel responsible. It must have been that silver lighter that finally broke the camel's back.
What camel?
Mr. Blanchard. When he discovered his wife had stolen again, guess he just went berserk and murdered. John, you don't think that he really did murder her?
Of course not, darling. Now, it's got to have been somebody else.
She was so nice. I'll just never forgive myself for this.
What has it got to do with you?
I was so suspicious. I was always inventing things. It's almost as though I made it happen, don't you see?
No, I don't see. I'm going down to the morgue and settle this right now.
No, John. I started it, and I'm going to finish it.
It works now. I had Charles fix it. He's awfully good at that sort of thing, although he hates to admit it.
This concludes our show. Now, if I had to be someone other than himself, and by an equally odd coincidence, it is rehearsed and ready to start. Here it is.
I suppose you could say it began that Easter Sunday. I was spending the weekend at my Aunt Muriel's house in Norwich, Connecticut, a place I was forced to spend many weekends. Not that I found my aunt's company particularly congenial, far from it. But the food was fair, and even she didn't have the effrontery to charge me for my visits. Not that she wasn't capable of doing even that. As a matter of fact, nothing my aunt did would be too surprising. But that weekend, she went too far, even for a person as good-natured as myself.
Can't you see my problem? The shop is a veritable gold mine. But when you work with objet d'art, you have to begin slowly.
I don't think we'd better discuss the antique shop anymore, Seymour. I simply cannot let you have any more money.
Well, I know it's true I wasn't cut out to be a businessman, but the shop is different. Now, it might interest you to know.
I'll tell you what it would interest me to know. Just what you think you are cut out for, Seymour.
You don't understand. I should have lived in the Renaissance, or some other period, when refinement and culture and taste really meant something.
I doubt if there was ever a period in history when men could enjoy those things without money.
Well, if it comes to that, if dear Papa hadn't left all the money to you instead of to me, I would have money.
Your father was a very sensible man, Seymour. He felt he must force you to make your own way for a while. He thought it might put some sense into your head about money.
It's a pity Father didn't have any understanding of what I'm really like.
Oh, you're wrong, Seymour. Really, you are.
Perception and sensitivity don't seem to run on your side of the family. He couldn't help it, any more than you can.
Ordinarily, I'm a fairly good-natured person, Seymour, but I find it impossible to spend any time with you and remain that way.
Is it possible that you're suffering from a feeling of guilt?
You mean guilt about the money? No. I'm only grateful you live in the city and aren't around to embarrass me all the time.
Why should I embarrass anyone?
Oh, Seymour. Your affectations. Don't you see how people around here laugh at you all the time?
What people? I never see them, much less care what they think. The only way I could possibly survive in this so-called civilization is not to see anything unpleasant. Just to pretend it doesn't exist.
Oh, I give up.
Don't tell me you're running out of good advice.
No, out of patience.
I thought that was something that you and Father had an inexhaustible supply of.
No one could have enough patience to put up with you, Seymour. Because of all the vain, silly, egotistical, unattractive.
Unattractive? Of course, everyone has a right to his own opinion, but unfortunately, you're in the minority.
I'm going upstairs. Seymour, do you realize that when you're in a room with a person, you not only get into a position where you can admire yourself in a mirror, but where the person with you can only see what you call your best angle?
It is my best angle.
Oh, stop it. I never heard such nonsense in my life. Good heavens, this sort of thing is bad enough in a woman, but in a man, it's embarrassing.
At your age, do you think it's wise to get yourself upset like that? It might not be good for your health.
Don't worry about my health, Seymour. Though I've no doubt you've given a good deal of thought to it.
Well, why shouldn't I be concerned? After all, you are my aunt.
Don't waste your time worrying about my health, Seymour. I know you can't wait to get your hands on the money.
Dear Aunt Muriel, that is almost a vulgar remark.
A little vulgarity in your nature would be a very healthy thing. That's beside the point at the moment. Now, there's never been any secret of the fact that the money is yours when I die. But I wouldn't waste my time if I were you, Seymour, waiting for it. It may take a long time. You might just as well make up your mind. If you want any more money, you've got to go to work.
What about my shop?
Your shop is just an excuse not to work.
I'll thank you not to make derogatory remarks about that shop, Aunt Muriel. Will you or will you not give me that money?
No, not 1 cent. Not 1 cent of the money do you get while I'm alive.
I didn't answer her. I simply smiled. Obviously, there would have been no point in prolonging the discussion with her any further, for while I had no intention of descending to her level and bickering about anything as sordid as money, it was at that moment I made up my mind. Now there was no alternative. I would simply have to murder my aunt. I moved slowly, discarding plan after plan as unworthy, until one day when I was eating, certainly not enjoying my meager lunch, it happened. It was a wallet. A wallet obviously dropped by someone else. My first thought was it might contain money. A shocking comment on the position my aunt had placed me in. However, it contained only a driver's license. But after my first disappointment, I realized suddenly that fate had placed the solution in my hands. As I looked down at the license, the whole plan came to me, complete and perfect in every detail.
Seymour, why on earth did you drag me down here in the middle of the afternoon? And why are you closing the shop at this hour?
A, I want to talk to you. B, I don't wish to be disturbed.
If you mean by a customer, I don't think there's much danger.
If I wasn't in such a good humor today, I might be a little annoyed by your attitude.
I'm terrified. I'm also getting extremely impatient. What's so special about this afternoon? Don't tell me your aunt had the decency to die.
Not quite. Let me ask you something, Liza. Have you ever been presented with a large, complex idea, complete down to the last detail?
I wouldn't know. Ideas aren't my specialty.
Like leisurely unwrapping a large Christmas parcel full of the most wonderful surprises.
I've almost forgotten what that's like. I've been going with you for so long now, Seymour.
That's unworthy of you, Liza. You've always known that even if things are a little tight now, as soon as
your aunt dies, it'll all be different. But the only trouble is, by the time she does, if she ever does, we'll both be so old it won't matter.
I never worry about age. I have the kind of bone structure that lasts.
Well, I haven't. I want my share of the cake now.
That's right. You don't have that kind of bone structure.
For your information, I've about decided not to sit around here any longer admiring your bone structure. There's no point in both of us doing the same thing.
Listen, edge to your voice, Liza, means you want to quarrel. You know how I abhor quarreling.
Then suppose you stop talking in circles and tell me what this is all about.
Let me ask you one more question. What, in your opinion, is the most important thing in the world?
Money.
I'm serious.
All right, I'll play. What is the most important thing?
It's not money. It's not taste, or personality, or distinctive features. It's a passport.
A what?
A passport. An official document. A social security card. A driver's license. In other words, an identification. Because it is only by an official identification that we really exist.
I don't get it.
Sit down. Liza, do you know what that is?
A driver's license.
Correct. California driver's license in the name of Antonio Bertani. I found it quite by accident at lunchtime.
Pity it wasn't a $100 bill.
It's worth a great deal more than that. With this license, I can create a person. A person who will do exactly what I require of him.
Would it interest you to know that I have no idea what you're talking about?
How can you be so stupid? My dear Liza, don't you understand that with this license, anybody can become Mr. Bertani? He can buy a car and register it in his name. He can rent a house in some little town, let's say in New Jersey.
Now, wait a minute. I want to be sure I've got this all straight. You're going to hire someone to impersonate this Bertani.
Bertani. My dear Liza, it is not a question of impersonation. I shall create a fictitious person by the name of Bertani who will do anything I want him to do, including the all-important last act, my aunt's demise.
And who, if I may be so bold, is going to play the part?
I am.
You?
Me. Liza, why are you laughing?
I can't help it. It's too funny.
I fail to see any humor in the situation whatsoever.
I don't doubt it, Seymour. Humor was never your strong point. Honestly, I can't take it seriously. I can't do anything but laugh. As a matter of fact, at this moment, I can't think of anyone in the world who's safer than your aunt.
I had no intention of allowing her attitude to stop me. The only effect it had was that I made a mental note that at my convenience, Liza, too, would have to go. Meanwhile, I wasted no time putting my plan in operation.
I purchased those items necessary for my disguise. The actual creation of the good Signor Bertani was extremely simple. I had only to use my purchases skillfully.
I was no longer Seymour Johnston, but Antonio Bertani.
Mr. Bertani,
Yes?
I'm your neighbor,
What do you want?
I'm soliciting funds for our new church organ.
I don't give to any churches.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And what's more, I don't like to be bothered. You can tell that to your friends.
Well, really?
And don't let it happen again.
I had no doubt as to how she would describe Signor Bertani when the police finally traced him there. I made the same impression on other neighbors during the weekends I spent in that ghastly little apartment during the summer. Then with this last purchase in Bertani's name, I was ready. The plan was complete, but for the final act, the murder of my aunt. I was full of satisfaction as I arrived on the grounds of my aunt's estate in the car I had purchased in the good Bertani's name. Or should I perhaps call him the bad Bertani? There's something very satisfying about drawing to the end of an extremely complicated and delicate operation. I hid the car in the bushes a short distance from the house, and since my plan called for it to be found there by the police, I made certain the wheels were deeply embedded in the soft earth. Then I walked the rest of the way to the house. The evening went as usual, with an endless lecture of my failings. In a way, I was glad of this, for it reaffirmed the rightness of what she was forcing me to do.
What are you looking at me like that for, Seymour?
I was just thinking how nice you look this evening.
I see.
You sound unconvinced.
I am. As a matter of fact, everything you've done this evening has been very unconvincing. You've been more peculiar than usual.
Here, I thought I'd been particularly charming.
You have been trying to be.
Trying?
Yes?
You're the most exasperating woman I've ever known. I don't know why I put up with you.
It's the other way around, isn't it? This is my house, Seymour. I'm the one putting up with you.
Yes, it is your house. Temporarily.
Yes, temporarily. Oh, it's silly of me to play this game with you.
What game?
I know perfectly well what's wrong with you tonight.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't you think I know that it was you who sent me that silly letter?
Letter? What letter?
The letter threatening my life, unless I paid $10,000 by the first of the month to some man by the name of Antonio Bertani. No one else in the world would think of anything so childish.
My dear Aunt Muriel, if you've received a letter threatening your life, don't you think you ought to go to the police about it?
The police?
Of course. If your life is in danger, shouldn't the police know about it?
So that's what you wanted. You wanted me to take it to the police.
Well, no, I did.
Oh, Seymour, it isn't possible. Don't tell me you were planning to kill me and then have it blamed on some fictitious character that you invented.
You'll find that amusing.
Oh, it's wrong of me to laugh, I know. It's so silly and childish and typical of you.
What have you done with the letter? What have you done with it?
I put it in the waste paper basket. What else would I do with it? Now, what are you doing? Shut the desk drawer. This has gone far enough.
That's right. So it has. You're right, I did send that letter. And I did want you to turn it into the police. Because it'll be just as well if they find it in that drawer. It will serve as a motive. You don't have to worry about paying up by the 1st of the month. Don't worry. You won't be overdue.
Now, put that thing down, Seymour. You might hurt yourself.
Dear Aunt Muriel, always so concerned with other people's welfare. What was that noise?
I don't know, sir. That's what I came to find out. It sounded like a shot.
Well, that's impossible. It must have been a car backfiring. Perhaps you better look. Good heavens.
Oh, sir. Poor Mrs. Drummond.
How could such a thing happen? There's a man out there.
Oh.
Don't worry, I'll get him. It all worked beautifully, just as I had planned. But then, of course, if you're intelligent to plan well, it always works out. I started the motor, even though I knew the car was deeply embedded in the soft ground. And then as I left the gun in the car, my work was done. I had nothing else to do but return to the house, call the police, and act the part of the bereaved nephew. I'm so ashamed, Inspector. I mean, to think I had so little courage.
You mean you could have caught him?
Well, I don't know about that. I heard a sound at the gate, and well, frankly, I was frightened. You see, I remembered he had a gun. I was simply afraid.
What happened then?
Well, I waited at the gate for a while, and then I heard a car start up back in the woods. I went toward it. Not very fast, I'm afraid.
Well, did you get a look at the car as it came out?
It didn't come out.
What do you mean it didn't? It's not still there.
Well, yes, I heard someone starting the motor.
Never mind. Tell me the rest on the way. Come on.
When we returned to the house, the detective found the letter in the desk and seemed dissatisfied not only with it, but also with everything. He was that kind of person, an unnaturally suspicious, pleasureless soul who depressed me even to talk to. However, although it wasn't necessary, I decided it would be a nice touch to win him.
Didn't your aunt ever tell you she was receiving this sort of thing?
Never. I don't understand it. We were so close. She never had any secrets from me.
Well, as far as that goes, I knew your aunt pretty well myself. I would have thought she'd told me.
That's so strange. Why should anybody want to blackmail Aunt Muriel? I mean, she had nothing to hide.
Well, I imagine we'll find the answer to that when we've traced the car and the gun.
Well, I imagine that won't be too difficult for you. I suppose you're very experienced at that kind of thing.
It's my job.
Good morning, Inspector. Have you found out anything?
We've traced the car, Mr. Johnston.
Then you have traced the murderer. Have you arrested him?
Well, not yet. But I think we're pretty close. Of course, he wasn't at home when we paid him a visit. His name was Bertani. Have you ever heard that name, Mr. Johnston?
Bertani. Isn't that the name of the man who wrote my aunt that letter threatening her life?
I wondered if you'd remember. In any case, we found that he lived over in New Jersey. The people there thought that he was hiding out.
Well, he certainly won't go back there. Didn't they give you a description of it?
Oh, yes. We got a description. A very complete description.
Well, then you shouldn't have any difficulty in picking him up.
We don't expect to.
Why are you staring at me?
Because I can't believe it. I'm looking right at you, and I can't believe it. Mr. Johnston, I think I told you that your aunt and I were very good friends. She used to talk to me a good deal about you.
I wouldn't pay any attention to anything she might have said.
Tell me, why is it when you're talking to someone, you always keep your right profile turned away?
I wasn't aware of it. I didn't...
Just a minute. I remember that once she told me that when anything annoyed you, you simply pretended that it wasn't there. She said you were able to do it, so that you never really saw anything you didn't want to see.
Well, what's so dreadful about that?
Well, there's nothing dreadful about it. It's just a little difficult when you want to disguise yourself, and you've managed to convince yourself that something isn't there, so you don't bother to disguise that. Particularly something as conspicuous as that birthmark of yours.
Poor Seymour. It couldn't have happened to a more deserving person. I've decided not to be someone else after all. If I won't be myself, who will? However, allow me to indulge my exhibitionist tendencies with this quick change demonstration. The Alfred Hitchcock of today. The Alfred Hitchcock of 30 years ago. The secret of this transformation is rather simple. I just removed my wallet. And now I shall remove myself. But soon I shall return with another story. Good night. And we arrange them in a manner designed to titillate and confuse. Let me show you what one of our stories sounds like before it is written. How fortissimo can you get? I trust this has been educational. I deliberately cut that number short because it was the music for tonight's story, Alibi Me, and I didn't want you to know how it comes out. If you haven't already guessed, here is the way it begins.
No knock on the door? No, can I come in, please? Just no class.
I want a showdown.
Now hold it down. This ain't no candy store. You're in a high-class office. Upstairs is a music professor. And downstairs, some legitimate businessmen. So keep it down.
You got some explaining to do, Lucky.
Me, I don't explain nothing.
It's tough enough to hustle a buck without you always interfering.
Here. Sit down. Have yourself a nice salami sandwich. Now, you mind if I go on eating? Look what you made me do. That's bad luck. Boy, I sure hate to spill salt.
Look, I just come from Pitkin Avenue. There ain't a store down there that'll handle my machines no more. All our pinball machines we take from Lucky, they say.
They say correct.
But from Pitkin Avenue to Wadsworth is my territory. I built up the percentages there, you know that. When Blackie Hirsch got bumped off, he said I should take over.
You built it up real nice for me, and I appreciate it. Now put the rod away. You look goofy holding the rod on me. You ain't gonna use it, so put it away.
Lucky, I'm warning you.
Georgie, I can't kill you, and you can't kill me. And we know why. Here. Get a gander at that face on the front page. Go on, look at it. Imagine a cop like Larkin getting to be a lieutenant. Larkin's sure come up in the world.
Larkin ain't got nothing to do with us.
Don't be a fool. Larkin's got everything to do with us. He's sort of an insurance policy between you and me.
What do you mean?
You got a bad memory. Even when we were kids, Georgie, you hated me, and I hated you. And every cop in the neighborhood knew it, especially Larkin. Don't ever forget what Larkin told us. If one of you punks gets knocked off, the one that's left alive had better have a good alibi. That's why I say, put the gun away. You ain't gonna need it.
I ain't letting you take away my business. Hirsch gave me that concession, and I need the dough.
You need dough? Go work a cheap con game on East Broadway. Oh, if you should happen to get hungry, here's a $50. You can drop in any place and get yourself a nice salami sandwich. And keep the change.
Lucky, you better stop ragging me.
Go away, will you, please? I got a million things on my mind. Well, it's almost 4 o'clock. You know, at 6 o'clock, I gotta report to Larkin for my parole. If you were to squeeze that trigger, I'd be missed terribly.
I ain't gonna let you make a sucker out of me.
I already have. Just today, I sent you the biggest lollipop in town. A present from me to you. The biggest lollipop in town. For the town's biggest sucker. If ever one of you punks gets knocked off, the one who's left alive had better have a good alibi.
Hey, Uncle Leo.
Eh?
You and me, we've been through some pretty rough things together, huh? And a couple of times there, you needed my help real bad, remember?
Georgie, if I live to be 100, I'm not gonna forget. You know what I say to the family? I say, Georgie, he can have my right arm. Up there. Anytime you ask him. But, well, salute.
Well, Uncle Leo, I need your help real bad now.
Sure. Only, I'm a little broke, you know. I had my gallstone out the last summer in a business.
No. It ain't money. Come here. Sit down. Look, in case anybody should ask, you tell them I was here since 3:30 this afternoon, okay?
3:30? Why?
What's the difference, why? You do me this little family favor, huh?
I don't know, Georgie. You worry me.
You gonna do it or not?
Look, if I'm gonna alibi you, I want to know what for. Family or no family?
Don't make a production out of it. They probably won't even ask you. But if they do, you just tell them I was here since 3:30, okay?
You're in trouble with them hoodlums again. Your friend Lucky, the guy where they bumped off for Blackie Hirsch. I told you run around with them. You know what you gotta get.
Uncle Leo, you just gotta do me this favor. You gotta.
Not on you life. I ain't gonna alibi you.
Why not?
One guess. His name is Larkin.
So you don't forget a favor, huh? Your right arm up there, huh? Boy, some uncle.
Look. You need money. I'm gonna find the money for you. I don't know where, but I find it. You need food, I feed you. You need clothes, the best of flannel, I get it for you. But no alibi, Georgie. Now, you excuse me, I got customers. Now get out of here, you little punk.
Just a minute.
for Pete's sake, look what the cat drug in.
Goldie, I missed you so much. It's been a long time, kid. Such a long time.
I shouldn't touch you. I shouldn't even talk to you. It's been 2 months.
You want to know why? Because you begin to mean too much to me, kid. Don't see her no more, I says to myself. Just stay away from her. She'll wear off.
You said that honest?
You mean more to me now than ever, Goldie. I couldn't stay away no longer. That's why I had to come back.
Oh, Georgie. Don't ever stay away again. No matter what the reason, don't ever stay away from me.
Shh, I'm back now for good.
Do you mean that honest?
Take a look at my face and see. I mean, take a good look.
Oh, Georgie.
See? You satisfied?
Georgie, it's just been awful without you. Not feeling like going out or seeing anybody. Just sitting around the apartment, watching TV. I thought I'd go crazy.
Well, that's all over now. The good times are back. You know what I feel like doing? I feel like celebrating tonight. Look, why don't you get into your finest and we'll go out stepping, huh? We'll go dinner, we'll go to a show, we'll go dancing afterwards. How does that sound to you?
Oh, George, I got a new number I've been dying to wear.
Good. Goldie, has anybody been here today?
No, not a soul. I was all alone, feeling just awful until you came.
Well, in case anybody should ask you, you know, not that they will, but in case anybody does, would you do me a favor? Would you tell them I was here with you all day?
Georgie, I'll tell the world you were here. From the rooftops. I don't care who knows it, Georgie. I love you. I just love you. Love you. Georgie, please get comfortable. Viola. So you can't live without me.
Goldie, now listen to me.
You stayed away because I was getting to be a habit. Isn't that the way it went? You want me? You want to spend the afternoon here? Well, isn't that just too touching for words?
I meant what I said, honestly.
You're a liar! You're trying to sucker me into giving yourself an alibi.
Will you please stop yelling and listen to me? What I said is true. I need you.
Sure you need me, sure, to give yourself an alibi. That's why you came here. Just so I'll say that you were here with me.
No, Goldie,
You want to use me. What have you been up to? What have you done today that makes you need me like that?
Nothing. I was out to see the...
No, don't tell me. I don't care. I don't care what you've done. I don't care what you've done, and I don't care what's done to you. An arrest, jail, the electric chair, I don't care. You get no alibi from me, Mr. Wise Guy. Now get out of here.
Georgie, Good to see you.
Hey, Timmy, sorry I didn't have a chance to get you some flowers or some candy. How you doing?
Pull up a chair.
How you feeling, for real, Tim?
Not bad. Doctor says it was a miracle. How are things with you?
What? I'll level with you, Timmy. I come up the back stairs. I didn't want no one to see me.
Yeah? In a spot, Georgie? Need a favor? You come to the right man. Favors have been my business for the past 30 years. Oh, some fellas call it ward healing. With me, it's a business.
I need an alibi for the afternoon. Since 3 o'clock, Timmy.
You got it. I got this private room. No one comes here. Nurses and orderlies, they don't come unless I give a yell. I can have visitors anytime I want. No one's been here all afternoon. Not even my wife.
I'll never forget you for this, Tim.
You'll pay me back someday. You look better already. When you walked in, I was going to let you have the bed.
Yeah. So, I've been here since 3 o'clock, huh? We played gin all afternoon, okay?
Sure. Okay. Oh, look. I'll get the nurse in so she can see you. Then you take the elevator down. And, ask some dumb questions so she'll remember you. I'll ring for her now. There's some cards in the drawer over there. Deal a hand out on the bed.
Sure.
Oh!
Tim?
Georgie, the ticket, Georgie.
You want something, Timmy?
Water.
Tim? Oh, don't die now, Timmy. Timmy, you can't die now. Come on, Timmy, please. Don't die now. You can't die now. Timmy, come on, please. Say something to me, Tim. Salvatore.
Hello?
Hey, let me do that. Give me that handle, Mrs. Salvatore. It ain't right a nice woman like you should be doing this.
Oh, thanks, Georgie. I'm gonna bring that Casey kid if he keeps tearing this linoleum. I ain't got money to spend buying a new linoleum.
Sure, I don't blame you.
Did you just come in?
Yeah, just come in. But in case anybody asks, especially Larkin, you tell him I've been in my room all day, huh?
Larkin? Lieutenant Larkin, the cop?
Yeah, Larkin, the cop.
Oh, I couldn't do that, Georgie. I wouldn't lie to that cop. Don't count on it.
I do count on it, though. And you'll do it, too. Don't shake your head. I say you'll do it. You tell Larkin I've been in my room all day, understand?
Oh, no.
You don't tell him I'm in all day. And I'll tell him about your daughter, Maria.
I don't have any idea what you mean.
Is that a fact? No idea at all, huh?
No. Wait! How did you know, Georgie? Tell me, how did you find out?
What difference does it make? I keep my eyes and ears open. That's how I found out. Now, you gonna alibi me?
I don't want any trouble. I'm honest, and I work hard to keep my kids honest.
Sure, you keep your kids honest. So honest that your daughter yanks a fur coat right out of a department store, huh?
I made her bring it back. I marched her into the store myself. We gave it back to the manager.
Sure, I know. But a crime's a crime. Whether the store makes trouble or not.
Oh, Georgie, you couldn't. Why, she's only 15. Her whole life would be ruined. She would...
Oh, now, come on, Mrs. Salvatore. What's the crime? Am I going to tell Aunt Maria? Oh, of course not.
Oh,
Don't tell anyone, please.
I'll keep my mouth shut just like you want. And you open your mouth just like I want, and everything will be fine. Now, if Larkin asks you, I was in my room all day. Agreed?
And you won't tell him about Maria?
I won't say a word. I swear. Look, I take an oath.
All right, Georgie. All right. But not a word about Maria.
My memory is terrible. Just so long as yours is good. Yeah?
Open up. It's me, Larkin.
Well, well, what a surprise.
I'll bet.
And to what do I owe this great pleasure?
To your friend, Lucky.
Huh? Anything happened to Lucky? He's been
made dead.
No kidding? What? What do you know?
Yeah. Tough.
And you come to give me your shoulder to cry on, huh?
You're not surprised.
Look, I'm not the only guy in the world who hated Lucky. But when you find out who did it, let me know. I'll contribute a sawbuck to his defense.
Save your money, Georgie. You might need it.
Yeah? How come?
Remember I told you, if ever one of you punks gets knocked off, the one who's left alive better have a good alibi.
Yeah, the words ring a bell.
Come on, give, Georgie. Where were you today?
I was nowhere.
Is that a fact?
Yeah, that's a fact. I was right here alone in my room all day.
Can you prove that?
It ain't easy to prove you've been alone somewhere all day.
No?
No, besides, I didn't see anybody. Oh, yeah. I saw my landlady, Mrs. Salvatore.
Yeah?
Yeah. Mrs. Salvatore! Hey, Miss Salvatore!
What is it?
Come on in here, will you?
All right.
Come on, come on. It's my landlady, Miss Salvatore, Lieutenant Larkin.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Sit down, Miss Salvatore. You must be tired. I won't keep you long. Were you in all day?
Yeah, the whole day.
Was Georgie in all day, too?
Georgie? This Georgie?
How many Georgies have you got in the place?
Yeah, he was in.
Are you positive?
I'm positive, sure I'm positive.
What makes you so positive?
What makes me so positive? I cleaned the room, that's what makes me so positive. And I pressed a suit for him later, that's what makes me so positive. Oh, and when I was cleaning the hall, the door was open and I saw him. And when I was downstairs, he yelled to me a couple of times.
Will you swear to this in a court of law?
I swear.
All right, thank you. You can go. Well, that's it then, Georgie.
Meaning?
Meaning your alibi smells as far as I'm concerned. But for the record, it lets you off the hook.
Yeah.
Mr. George Manelli. You George Manelli?
Yeah.
Got a package for you, rapid delivery service. Just sign there.
Who's it from?
Well, Mr. Moore. Lucky Moore.
Open it, Georgie. This I want to see. Wow, what do you know? A lollipop.
Gee, I've never seen such a big one.
Okay, so you never seen such a big lollipop before. Now, when you get out of here, what are you waiting around here for?
What do you think he's waiting for? Tip the kid.
What do you mean, tip the kid? What do you think I am, the mint?
Okay, cheapskate. Ain't it always the way? 5 times I come up and down them stairs. Twice this morning and 3 times this afternoon. Not even a nickel tip.
Wait a minute. Come here, kid. You say you were here twice this morning and 3 times this afternoon?
Sure. This guy wasn't even in.
Oh,
I almost forgot. There's a message goes with the lollipop. To the biggest sucker in town.
Well, that was a surprise. The pistol shot Georgie used to kill Lucky wasn't in the original score. But that's what happens when the musician who plays the revolver is allowed to improvise. Naturally, Georgie was given life imprisonment, while the offending musician got off with a 10-year sentence. Next time, we plan to bring you more music and sound effects.
Catherine, look at this. Here, dear. Here, come quick.
What is it, dear?
Look.
There. I do believe it's a cedar waxwing.
Dear Fitz, you and your birds.
There he goes. Oh, it's very seldom that you see a cedar waxwing in the park.
Fitz, there's that man again. He comes every day.
Huh? Oh, yes. You know, he's a kind man. He likes birds. Anybody who likes birds is kind.
He looks about right, don't you think? Well, what about him?
I know. Oh, yes, I think he'd be an excellent choice. 5:15 p.m. One cedar waxwing.
I'll be back soon, dear.
All right. Oh, Catherine.
Oh, yes?
Catherine, about my butterfly collection, don't you think we could save...
Now, we've been all through that before, haven't we, Fitz?
It seems such a shame.
I'm sorry. I know what your butterfly collection means to you, but it will have to go like everything else. It wouldn't look right. You understand that, don't you?
Yes, Catherine.
Dear Fitz, it's always such a joy to watch you sort your specimens.
It's very delicate work, you know.
Now, you're going to try to behave yourself, aren't you? And you're not going to say the wrong things?
Oh, I won't, Catherine, I promise.
That's a dear boy. Why, you poor man.
Me, ma'am?
Yes, you. Are you hungry?
I guess I'm always hungry.
I knew it. I just knew it. You know, I was looking out of my window, my house is across the street, and I said to myself, I said, Catherine Oldham, it would be an act of human kindness if you were to feed that poor, poor man.
You mean you want to give me something to eat?
Well, why not? You know, I made a pot of stew for supper tonight, and there's still plenty left. It wouldn't take me a minute to hot it up.
Well, that's very kind of you,
Oh,
ma'am.
gosh, don't you go thanking me. As I say, it's only an act of human kindness. Now, come along.
Yes, ma'am.
One thing.
Oh.
I must warn you about Fitzhugh.
Fitzhugh?
He's my brother. Oh, he's very eccentric. He says the wildest things. But you're not to pay any attention to it. You'll remember that, won't you?
Oh, yes, ma'am, I will remember.
Then come along, and I'll put some hot food into you right away.
Come in.
It was just like I said. The poor man was starved. Oh, this is my brother Fitzhugh.
Yes, ma'am. They call me Georgie.
Delighted, Mr. Georgie. Won't you go right in through that door? He's perfect.
Now, you entertain our guest while I heat the stew. Fitz, possibly you'd like to show him your butterfly collection.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Do you like butterflies, Mr. Georgie?
I don't know much about butterflies.
Ah, you're missing a great thrill. Here, let me show you. Oh, no, here I am over here. In its final and fully developed state, the butterfly is the most perfect of all diurnal lepidopterous insects, and oh, so beautiful in flight. Here. I'm particularly proud of this one. Difficult to catch because it flies so high, but I lured it into the net with tobacco smoke. Are you a stranger in these parts, Mr. Georgie?
I guess I'm a stranger most everywhere. I get around a lot.
Oh, no home? No family?
No, sir. Oh, nothing good ever happens to me. I guess I'm jinxed.
Ah, well, you mustn't despair. Remember, fortune is like a glass. The brighter the glitter, the more easily broken. If you have nothing, you've nothing to lose.
I never thought about it that way.
Oh, that's the only way to think of it. Oh, please, do sit down. Take Catherine and me, for example. We're impoverished. Nothing left except this house and my insurance policy. But do we worry? Certainly not. Oh, Catherine, Mr. Georgie is all alone in the world.
Oh? Haven't you anybody at all who might be asking after you?
Oh, ma'am, I guess ain't nobody cares what happens to me.
Oh, but my sister and I care very much what happens to you, Mr. Georgie, don't we, Catherine?
I'll dish up the stew.
Well, Mr. Georgie, come right over here and sit down. My sister will have your supper in just a minute. That's right. Now, tell me, how do you like our little town? Have you been here long?
No, sir, not long.
Have you made any friends?
No, people ain't very friendly to me. Policeman told me to be out of town before night.
Well, don't you worry. As far as the police are concerned, you've already left town. Ah, here's Catherine with your supper now.
Now, you let Mr. Georgie be, Fitz, while he eats. Plenty of time to talk later.
Yes, Catherine.
Now, you go right to it, Mr. Georgie. There's plenty more in the kitchen. Well, it does my heart good to see you eat so well. Peace of mind always begins in the stomach, I always say. Where are you going, Fitzhugh?
I have to tend to something in the basement.
Later, Fitz. We'll tend to it together.
Don't you think we ought to get started?
Later, Fitzhugh. Oh, there's one of those pesky moths again. Get the insect spray, will you? There's a dear boy. Now, you stop fooling with it, Fitz. Kill it.
You wanted me to kill it.
Oh, now, Fitz.
Yes, you did. How could you ask me to do a thing like that? My sister tried to kill me, you know.
Oh, Fitz, the things you say. Remember what I told you, Mr. Georgie.
Oh, yes, she did. She tried to kill me. The insurance policy I told you about? Well, she's the beneficiary. Oh, I don't blame her. It's an excellent way to get some money.
Oh, Fitz, the stories you make up.
But what I said to her was that there was no need to kill me. All we had to do was to find a substitute for my corpse. Then we could both enjoy the insurance money.
Now, Fitz, you stop talking
There's
nonsense.
No reason for you to talk to me.
Well, your plate is empty. Let me get you some more.
No, ma'am, I don't think I better.
Well, now, don't be bashful.
Ain't that, ma'am, but it's getting late. I think I better go.
You're not going to leave this house until you've had some coffee.
No coffee,
Some
thank you.
tea, then?
No, nothing.
Milk?
Milk? Oh.
Some nice warm milk. Oh, it makes a body feel so relaxed. Fitz? Fitz, dear.
Yes?
I think it would be an act of human kindness if you were to give Mr. Georgie a clean suit of clothes. We can't have him dressed like that, dear.
What? Oh, no.
Well, maybe one of yours would fit him. You're about the same size. That blue one, maybe.
Oh, all right.
And shoes.
What size do you wear, Mr. Georgie?
Shoes? I don't know.
You mean you're going to give me a new suit and shoes, too? Maybe my luck's changed.
Fitz, you take Mr. Georgie upstairs and try on a suit of clothes. And meanwhile, I'll clear everything off here.
But I should attend to that job in the basement first. Shouldn't I, Catherine?
Oh, all right, dear. You tend to it. And I'll take Mr. Georgie upstairs.
Yes, Catherine. Thank you, Catherine.
There's another one of those pesky moles. Little monster. I caught it. I got it. You know, Fitz doesn't like me to kill them, but I do when he's out of the room. There. A nice little moth for supper. My, it looks as though it's going to rain. Mr. Georgie, you'll just have to stay the night.
Oh, no, ma'am, I couldn't do that.
Oh, nonsense, I insist. Now, you come along upstairs and try on that suit of clothes. This way.
Where is it? Where did she put it?
Now, you try on the coat. Here, I'll help you.
It's a beautiful suit. Beautiful.
That's a perfect fit. Perfect. Why, to look at you, anyone would say that you were a man of means. Now look in the mirror and see for yourself.
You know, it's very kind of you, ma'am, to give me this suit and feed me and all.
Nonsense. It's just a human kindness, that's all. A human kindness. And now you try on the rest of the things, and I'll see you downstairs.
Yes, ma'am.
There it is.
Well, Mr. Georgie, you look quite different. Now turn around, let me see the back. Well, I declare it's as though it was made for you. The sleeves need a little bit of lengthening. Well, I'll do that tomorrow before you leave.
Oh, I can't stay the night. It's been so long since I slept under a roof, I'd be uncomfortable.
Mr. Georgie, you're saying that makes me feel real bad. To think of it, a man forgetting the comforts of clean sheets and a soft bed. Well, I just won't hear of it, that's all. You're going to stay. I'm warming some milk for you, make you sleep.
Yeah, but...
Fitz will be very disappointed if he can't show you the rest of his butterfly collection. Now, wait just a minute. I'll fetch him. Aren't you finished yet, Fitz?
In a minute. There. Now I'm all ready.
Now, Fitz, you know what you've got to do.
Yes, don't worry.
Now, tell me so that I can make sure that you've got it straight.
Now, Catherine, I won't have you treating me like a child.
I have to make sure you're so forgetful, Fitz. Now, tell me once again so I won't worry.
Oh, all right. After the fire has started, I'm to go upstairs. I'm to go upstairs. Then I'm to change into his clothes, and I'm to leave immediately.
You've forgotten something.
I have? No, I remember it all.
The ring. You've got to put the ring on his finger.
But it belonged to Grandfather.
That's why we must leave it, to complete the identification. There must be no question that the body upstairs is yours. Now, after you put the ring on his finger, you must leave right away.
Leave right away, yes. Now?
No, not until he's asleep. Now tell me where you're going.
I know, Catherine, I know.
Tell me.
The Fenton Hotel in Springstead.
The Trenton Hotel, not the Fenton.
Well, what difference does it make? I'll find it.
Be careful, dear.
Yes, I will, I promise. Now?
No. And when everything is settled, and I've collected the insurance money, I'll join you there. Now, I want you to take good care of yourself, dear.
Yes, don't worry.
Yes, the nights are cold in Spring City. I want you to buy some nice warm clothes. Burn this in the furnace.
What is it?
It's the X-ray plates of your teeth. You know, I went to see that nice dentist, Dr. Craig.
How did you get them?
Well, I just took them out of the file when he stepped out of the room. Burn them.
Yes, Catherine.
Now listen carefully. I'm fixing some hot milk, and I'm putting something in his glass to make him sleep. Be sure you choose the right one.
Yes, I will.
You know which.
Yeah, the glass nearest your left hand is for our guest.
The right hand, Fitz. The right hand. Now let's go back upstairs. You've got to talk to him because he wants to leave.
Catherine, wait. Will everything burn? Everything?
Yes, Fitz. Everything.
Oh, that's a pity.
Yes. He was such a nice man.
What? Oh, no, I was thinking of my butterfly collection. Well, now, Mr. Jorgie. Oh, no, please, help yourself. What's this my sister tells me? You're refusing our hospitality?
Oh, no, it ain't that, but you've been so kind and all, I didn't want to cause you any more trouble.
Oh, it's no trouble. No trouble at all. We're glad to have you.
Now, here we are. You boys drink this up before it gets cold. Mr. Jorgie, your shoes are so handsome, but I think you better tie that shoelace or you'll go tripping. Here, let me hold that for you.
About time.
Oh, dear me. I can't see a thing without my spectacles. Well, drink up.
This one's known as the zebra. Is found in the southern United States, although it's sometimes been known to stray as far north as Kansas. It flies deep in the woods. Deep in the woods or around the edges.
Our guest must be tired. Well, it's time we all went to bed. Fitz, why don't you take Mr. Jorgie upstairs and tell him where things are?
Come along, Mr. Jorgie. Time for a good night's rest, eh?
Night, ma'am.
Good night, Mr. Jorgie.
Here we are. I hope you'll be very comfortable. Now, if there's anything you want, you just be sure and let me know.
Look, this is your room and your bed, ain't it?
Now, don't you worry about that. Well, good night. And, pleasant dreams.
Wait a minute, dear. Where are you going?
To start the fire, of course.
Oh, you know I can't let you do that, dear. It's too risky.
Oh, but I want to start the fire. I like starting
Oh, I
fires.
know you do, dear. But if you botched it...
Catherine, you never let me do anything important.
Oh, everything you do is important, dear. Now, come on upstairs, and we'll see whether Mr. Jorgie is resting comfortably. Now, come on, dear. Mr. Jorgie? Mr. Jorgie? Now, Fitz, you know what you have to do. I won't call for help until the fire reaches this floor, and then you'll be far away.
I'd rather start the fire.
Now, Fitz, you put on his clothes.
Oh, all right. beautiful fire, Catherine, beautiful. Everything will burn and fly up, burn up,
You
burn
haven't
up.
changed. Hurry. What are you doing? Put that down.
Please, Catherine, please, Catherine, just this one, my zebra. You know how difficult it was for me to find. Please,
No.
Catherine,
You are to change your clothes and then leave the house by the kitchen.
please, Catherine, my zebra, please.
Your ring. Why didn't you do what I said?
You wouldn't let me start the fire.
You've got to go back upstairs and put that ring on his finger right away. If I hadn't noticed it, our whole plan might have failed.
Catherine. Look.
Pull it off. Hurry, hurry.
I can't. It's on too tight.
Pull it. Pull it.
It won't pull off. Catherine, what are we going to do? It's got initials on it.
Here, let me take it off.
Catherine, we've got to leave here. Never mind about him.
No, they're sure to notice the ring. They'll know it isn't you. There'll be an investigation. Mr. Jorgie!
No.
Mr. Jorgie! Mr. Jorgie, wake up! Wake up!
We haven't got time.
Dear, we've got
get
to
out.
take him with us. Mr. Jorgie, hurry! Help me, Fitz!
Come on, Mr. Jorgie. My bird. I've got to save my bird.
Now, Fitz! I can't carry him. I don't have the strength. You've got to help me.
But what about my bird?
I'll get him. Hurry, Fitz!
Come along, Mr. Jorgie. Come along. Sit up. Sit up, that's right. Here, put an arm around my shoulder. Come on now. Come on. Where are we going for a walk? That's right.
Number 2 hose. Come on, boys. Check that last roof over there. Come on the double. Let's go.
It's all my fault. I'm a jinx.
Drink some of this coffee, Mr. Oldham. It'll make you feel better.
Oh, you take care of Mr. Jorgie. He needs it more.
Oh, that's just like you, never thinking of yourself. You're a real hero, Mr. Oldham.
Yes, I am, aren't I?
May I have a cup of coffee, please?
Yes, of course.
Is everyone here all right?
Oh, fine, thank you. Fine.
Well, that was mighty fast thinking, sir.
He's a real hero.
Well, somebody had to do it. See, Mr. Jorgie was overcome with smoke, and my sister... Well, you know how women are in an emergency. Poor Catherine. She always loses her head.
I thought I'd better get out of there. I just remembered that my tumbril is double parked. I shall return next week at the same time to bring you another story and to relate the further adventures of Alfred Hitchcock. Good night.